Okay, so in this video, we're going to see how to add, subtract, and multiply complex numbers. Okay, so these are really pretty easy skills, but let's go through them nonetheless. So here's an example of adding. So we're going to do adding first, adding complex numbers. All right, so the first example will be if I have 5 minus 8i plus 7 negative 7 plus 6i. So what I would do is I'm going to add the real part to the real part. So the real part is the one that is highlighted in yellow. They go together. And then the imaginary part will be the one I'm trying to highlight in blue. They go together. So notice that the sign is included with the number. I included the sign before in the front of it with the number. So be careful with that. That's the only thing you need to be careful about. So let's try to add them together now. So we're going to add 5 plus negative 7. That will be negative 2. So the answer to this will be negative 2. And then you add negative 8i to 6i, and that will be negative 2i. And that's it basically for adding complex numbers. Now, let's say I want to subtract them. Let's do the subtraction over here, subtracting. Okay, subtracting complex numbers. All right, so let's do the same thing with the number I already have. So I have 5 minus 8i. And then I want to subtract negative 7 plus 6i. Okay, I always suggests, I prefer to rewrite as addition. So I'm going to distribute all these negative. I'm going to distribute this the negative on the outside. I want to make it go inside to every single number, and then combine all the real part with the real part. So let's do it. So the first thing I will do is to copy the first one. There's nothing to do with it. And now negative 1 on the outside times 7 will be plus 7. And then negative 1 times negative 6 will be negative 6i. Now I am ready to start adding the imaginary with the imaginary. And then the real part with the real part. So here's the real part. Is going to add to the real part. So the subtraction sign has turned the sign of every number in the second complex number. So it's turned their sign to the opposite. So that's just the only thing that you're doing with subtraction. It changes the sign. So now we're going to add 5 and 7. That will be 12. And then negative 8 plus negative 6. That will be negative 14i. Negative 14i. And basically that's it. It's just making sure that you change the sign of the number that you're going to be subtracting from the first one, and then making sure you combine the like terms very well. Now we go to multiplying. So let's do multiplying over here. So multiplying. Complex numbers. Okay, so we're going to do an easy example at first. So let's do one that is not too hard, but we can always do any one. So we do 2 minus 3i times let's say 4 plus 2i. Okay, so the most important thing to remember, though, or to know, is that the multiplication, it's multiplication because between them there is no addition, there is no subtraction between them. It's just two complex numbers multiplied together. So I prefer to use the distributive property. Okay, some people call it FOIL. So I'm going to go like this: 2 times 4. 2 times 4 is 8, so 8. And now another column, I'll do 2 times 2i. That will be 4i. And then I'll do negative 3i times 4. that will be negative 12i. And then I'll do negative 3i times 2i. That will be negative 6i squared. Now, yeah, we can combine the like terms, but we need to deal with this negative 6i squared at first. So I'm just going to rewrite everything and then deal with that negative 6i. Okay, 6i squared, so it will be negative 6. Now you're going to remember that I squared is negative 1. Negative 1. So we're going to replace I squared with negative 1. And that will turn to plus 6 here. So plus 4i here and then 8. Now we can combine all the like terms together. So as before, the 8 we go with the 6. They are real parts. And the 4i we go with the negative 12i because they are the imaginary part. Now we can just add them as 14 minus 4 minus 12 is negative 8i. And that's how you multiply complex numbers. And also you've seen how to multiply, how to add and how to subtract. That's it. Thanks for watching.